This is Valley News Live at 5.
New for you now at 5. One man is now facing multiple charges after a chase through Grand Forks. Police tried pulling over 30-year-old Bryce Gamboa several times last Thursday afternoon. Police say Gamboa stopped, then took off again, hitting another car at a busy intersection on South Washington. Officers used a pit maneuver to stop the car, then arrested Gamboa for possession of stolen property, reckless endangerment, driving under suspension, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Fargo Fire says a deck is destroyed following a fire at a South Fargo home this afternoon. The call came in around 2:30. When crews arrived, they found a deck on fire with a large amount of smoke and flames. Officials say a homeowner was trying to put it out with a garden hose. Fire crews were able to quickly put the fire out. The home has light smoke damage and the deck is a total loss. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Can't help but love the record-breaking going on today. But you've heard Hutch talking about changes coming, and that starts this evening. Hutch?
Andrea, thanks so very much. Good evening, everyone. Hopefully the last couple of days you have had a chance to get outdoors, because a taste of spring is what we got, and now we're going to get a taste, whether we like it or not, of winter's return. Records the last 2 days have been set in Fargo and Grand Forks. Today, we tried the mid-60s in Fargo. Absolutely stunning weather here. Here's a look at peak temperatures in your neck of the woods. Look at Rolla. 37 is as warm as it got there, with temperatures in the 60s to near 70 in Sisseton today. Current temperatures are cooling off in the Devil's Lake Basin, where a cold pool of air is beginning to punch down when gusty northwest winds are starting to drive that cold air our way. So enjoy the mild before things get wild. Here's your planner. If you're heading outdoors tonight in the FM area, temperatures will sneak down into the 40s. Our winds become northerly and they will be gusty throughout the evening. And we're heading our way into the mid-30s by bedtime tonight in Grand Forks. Tomorrow, first alert weather day has been issued. We'll have details on the track of that slushy, wet snowfall coming through, along with the cold air here in just a couple of moments.
All right. Thanks, Hutch. NDSU is now investigating the placement of 2 extremist decals on doors at Menard Hall that promote a hate group. In an email to students yesterday, school officials said the decals were found at 8:30 in the morning. They were taken down within 15 minutes. NDSU says it does not allow discrimination or the placement of such material on school property. The decals are the latest in a string of recent racially charged incidents on NDSU's campus. After a one-day delay, jury selection has now started in the murder trial of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer seen in cell phone video with his knee across George Floyd's neck. One juror has already been assigned to what will be a 12-member panel with 4 alternates. Jay Gray is following the developments and the tense atmosphere that has surrounded this case since Floyd's death.
With the courthouse under armed guard locked down, jury selection in the murder trial of Derek Chauvin is now moving forward.
Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that you will truthfully answer all questions about your qualifications to serve as a juror?
And there are.
Would you agree that there are 2 sides to every story?
Would you be willing to re-examine your personal opinions?
So many questions in this case.
Would you at least acknowledge that, maybe you haven't heard everything to this point?
Are you willing to base your decision on that evidence as it's presented in court?
There is one important question, though, that can't be answered by potential jurors. Will Chauvin, who's pleaded not guilty to charges of second-degree murder and manslaughter after pinning George Floyd to the ground, his knee pressed against Floyd's neck for more than 8 minutes, face a count of third-degree murder? Legal observers say that could be critical for the prosecution.
Only one police officer in the history of Minnesota has been convicted for killing someone while on duty, and he was convicted on a third-degree murder charge.
Judge Peter Cahill, who initially threw the charge out in the fall, says he's waiting on an appellate court ruling before deciding about reinstating the third-degree option for jurors. Chauvin's defense team has indicated if the third-degree charge is included, they'll file an appeal.
Officials say a legal tug-of-war continues. Sources telling NBC that the Floyd family turned down a significant settlement from the state to avoid a separate civil trial. A family attorney refused to comment on the matter. A judge in Kentucky has permanently closed the criminal case against Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. Kenneth Walker shot a police officer during the deadly raid that killed Taylor last year. Prosecutors dismissed an attempted murder of a police officer charge against him, but left open the opportunity to revisit the charge if new evidence surfaces. The House of Representatives will vote tomorrow on the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill, and a top Democrat says he's 110% confident it will pass. If successful, the vote would be the final legislative step before moving on to President Biden for his signature. The House has a slim Democratic majority, and the first version of the bill passed with a 7-vote margin. Just like the Senate vote last week, gaining any Republican support will be difficult.
We promised to put vaccination shots in arms for every single American. Mission accomplished. We promised to put money in the pockets of everyday Americans who've been struggling through the economic trauma of the pandemic. Mission accomplished.
House Republicans appear uniformly opposed to a bill they say is loaded with progressive spending unrelated to COVID. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum received his COVID vaccination today. The governor got his first dose this morning at the Bismarck Event Center at a drive-through vaccine clinic. This comes as vaccinations are being provided for individuals in priority group phase 1C. The Fargo Diocese says the Johnson & Johnson vaccine can be used as a last resort. There's been controversy over the vaccine as the Catholic Church is concerned about its potential use of abortion-derived cell lines in its production. Paul Braun with the Fargo Diocese says, quote, being vaccinated can be an act of charity that serves the common good. Johnson & Johnson says there is no fetal tissue in its vaccine. As we enter spring break season, some families might have plans to head out of town. Fargo Public Schools spring break runs from March 15th to the 19th and follows the guidelines of Fargo Cass Public Health and the State Health Department. Currently, there are no quarantine requirements when returning from travel. It is recommended to get tested and monitor your health when you get back. West Fargo's spring break is one day only, Friday, March 19th. They also follow State Health Department guidelines, and there are no quarantine requirements at this time. Spring break in Moorhead runs from March 29th to April 2nd. Moorhead school leaders are leaving it up to each family, but they refer to Minnesota Department of Health guidelines. They discourage out-of-state travel. If you do travel, they recommend a 14-day quarantine when you come back and a COVID test within 3 to 5 days of returning. Health officials are now reporting over 85% of North Dakota's long-term care residents are fully vaccinated. Governor Burgum announced today that the state will shift from state-driven guidance to locally driven decisions in basic care and assisted living facilities. More than 90% of long-term care residents have received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. And while over 85% of residents and 49% of staff have received both doses, this progress means 2 executive orders will expire on Friday, including one that requires assisted living facilities to conduct routine COVID testing of residents and staff. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is expanding vaccine eligibility as the state reaches its goal of vaccinating 70% of Minnesotans 65 and older this week. The announcement comes several weeks ahead of schedule after the state moved quickly to use more vaccine from the federal government. Starting tomorrow, more than 1.8 million more Minnesotans will be eligible. Phase 1B, Tier 2, includes people with specific underlying health conditions, food processing plant workers, and Minnesotans with rare conditions or disabilities that put them at higher risk of severe illness. Tier 3 includes those 45 and older with at least one underlying medical condition, 16 plus with 2 or more medical conditions, Minnesotans 50 years and older who live in multi-generational housing, and several categories of frontline workers such as airport staff, childcare and food service, public transit and postal workers. For the full list of eligibility, you can head to our website, valleynewslive.com. Here's an easy way for you to stay on top of the latest COVID vaccine-related information. Use our VNL vaccine tracker. You can visit our website or open your phone camera and point it at the QR code on your screen. Then tap the link that pops up. Buckingham Palace is under mounting pressure to respond after the explosive interview given by Prince Harry and his wife Meghan. They allege racism within the palace and a lack of support from the royal family over mental health issues and media intrusion. NBC's Keir Simmons reports from London.
Harry and a pregnant Meghan looking serene, cradling their son Archie in a new Instagram picture this morning from their photographer. But their interview, seen around the world, anything but serene. setting off a royal firestorm. Allegations that may do lasting damage, historians say.
The allegations have been made and can't be defended against because we don't know who they're actually made against.
Potentially weakening faith in the British royal family.
It's just a bit of a shame, really, for me personally, watching it, having been born in the Commonwealth, that there's that level of anti-blackness. I think that will upset a lot of black British people, and it will upset a lot of people in the Commonwealth.
Meghan's estranged father on British television this morning.
I don't think the British royal family are racist at all.
Harry and Meghan's description of feeling trapped, attacked by the press, while Meghan considered taking her own life, prompting international reaction.
The best thing I can say is that I've always had the highest admiration for the Queen.
For anyone to come forward and speak about their own struggles with mental health and tell their own personal story, that takes courage.
This morning, Prince Charles visiting a vaccination centre, while the clamour for the family to address the couple's claims is only growing.
Officials say there are some questions about parts of the interview, including the timing of the alleged racist comments and Meghan's claim that the couple was secretly married 3 days before their official ceremony. The Red River Market is now accepting vendor applications for the 2021 summer and fall season. All applications are due Monday, April 12th. You can apply online at redriver.market. Red River Market's 7th season will open on Saturday, July 10th at their new location, Broadway Square in downtown Fargo, and continue every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. until October 30th. Opening day will host over 60 vendors and performances by local musicians. The Bison are back this week, taking on the Illinois State Redbirds this Saturday at the Fargo Dome. The pregame show starts at 1:30. Kickoff is set for 2:30. You can watch all the action on KVLY. Certain Kia vehicles are in danger of catching fire. What you need to watch out for is next.
Record highs in the 60s today. Tomorrow, winter returns. Wednesday will bring some snow. You have to choose your tool for dealing with it. For Fargo, not so much snow expected, but some will need a shovel. I'll have details on the track and timing of this mess next.